I'm into conducting my own independent research. Why should I have to answer to anyone else if I'm already the best?
Olympic lifting is one of the most unsustainable practices out there. And the main reason for that is because it goes against our biology as human beings. Come on, how can anybody say that this is worth it?
So, lower body hypertrophy is probably not good for an athlete. It sucks. I'd rather have skinny legs than muscular ones, not like the bodybuilders. Goblet, yes, I guess. Front, no. Overhead, no. Belt squat is retarded. Pardon my French. Hypertrophy and dehydrated periosteal fascia. LOL. Oh boy, you really want this red pill? Look, I would really like to ask you for your permission to use these answers in a video. Is that okay? God damn it, no, man. Please. But I'm going to do it anyways. Today's video is sponsored by Transparent Labs. I've been taking this whey protein for a long time now. If I want to come even close to a gram of protein per pound body weight, like I have to supplement it with whey, and I think this is the best. Right here, it's grass-fed whey protein isolate, peanut flour, cocoa powder, natural chocolate flavor, sodium chloride, and stevia extract. 7 total ingredients. Nothing artificial in this whatsoever. It's my favorite. They have incredible supplements, guys. So go there now, get your fill of supplements, and use code ZACH at checkout. Back to the video. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today's video I've been struggling to make because, well, to be honest, I've been kind of told not to make it, but I'm going to do it anyways. It's about Naudi Aguilar. For those of you who don't know who he is, he made something called functional patterns. Now, I actually think I've discussed functional patterns on this YouTube channel, but it was like 8 years ago now. This guy's been around, and he's been in the Charlatan gang since day one. I mean, he is really the OG charlatan. And he's made a couple videos on Instagram that, for him, have had a ton of engagement. So here's number one, and it's my response to it as well, so we can kind of gain my explanation as to why I think this guy's a charlatan. So here's the first one.
Even the most passionate enthusiasts out there will tell you that Olympic lifting is one of the most unsustainable practices out there. And the main reason for that is because it goes against our biology as human beings. We are primarily transverse rotators and oscillators with our legs and our arms. And if you don't train yourself in relation to those specific evolved functions, you're going to decondition what makes us human to begin with.
Oh no, I've dropped my spoon. Wait, I can't move in the sagittal plane. There we go. Look, I've heard the same old from all these like functional charlatan gurus on the internet. They love the transverse plane. They hate anything in the sagittal plane because there's a lot of training in the sagittal and frontal planes. This guy, who's a charlatan by all accounts, you have to use absolute statements, or he has to use absolute statements. Look, dick-shaped food. The moment that he gives ground at all, that base layer of the absolute statement crumbles before him. And he can no longer be a charlatan. Once they bought in once, they attack everyone else. This dude has attacked yoga, powerlifting, anything. I mean, beside the point that he brings up in the beginning, he's talking about Olympic weightlifting like as if that has anything to do with the regular average person. It's a practice for a sport. Like it's never going to stop. Okay, and so this next clip that Naudi posted and that I responded to, I want you guys to remember, if you can, the GOATA guys, greatest of all time athlete. I don't know, whatever. So the GOATA guys, those were in that OG group as well. It's Seidman, GOATA, and functional patterns. There's a couple others kind of like rising slowly, but those are the big three, okay? What GOATA would do is they would just highlight athletes shearing their Achilles or destroying their knees in non-contact injuries on the field, or maybe some of them were contacted, and then they would just say, this is because their training wasn't good. And so Naudi is dipping his toes into that as well. So that's this clip right here.
Come on, how can anybody say that this is worth it? This is definitely not worth it, guys. Stop doing this.
When you start to show injuries of other methodologies to prove why your methodology is superior, I truly believe that that is despicable work. And it does, in my opinion, it marks really the low point of all of these functional fitness guru charlatans. What's silly to me is I actually know this guy, and he is he's training to be an elite powerlifter. So he got injured doing a sport at an elite level. You're gonna see this argument everywhere. Deadlifting is dangerous. Deadlifting is going to destroy you. All of this. I think it's important to understand that the dose makes the poison. The deadlift, among many other movements in the gym, can be very dangerous if you try to exceed your own personal fitness. The movement pattern of picking something up with slightly bent knees, like this, is not inherently dangerous. These are such simple concepts, especially if you've been doing strength and conditioning for a long time, that it's amazing that these charlatans continuously bring it up over and over and over again. So now that we kind of have an understanding of what's going on here, I want to share a conversation that I had with Naudi Aguilar. But Naudi basically said, do not post this conversation anywhere. The main reasoning is because he's going to be done with social media in 2 months. And as we all know, based off of those 2 videos that I just showed you, he's not going anywhere. He hasn't gone anywhere. And what he's realized is that the rage bait from these videos is so potent and so powerful, he's just going to keep doing them. So now what I want from you guys, as I was conversing with this guy, I started to kind of realize there's something going on up here. And I can't quite put my finger on it. So what I want from you guys in the comments section, if you have this understanding of human psychology and the words and the terms that he's using, maybe you can help me out and just talk about that in the comment section, because it seems like a lot of information for me to parse through. So anyways, let's get into this. Okay, so the conversation starts out with Naudi just DMing me, and it wasn't out of the blue. I had made a comment on a post that he had made in October 19th, basically using weaponized specificity, which is another term that is straight out of the charlatan playbook. It's as simple as this, guys. We don't see back squat on field when play sport, so therefore back squat bad. That's weaponized specificity. I mean, you can insert a lot of different movements, but that's more or less what it is. And what I said in the comment was these are very, very simple terms when you understand macro training, right? Periodization, progressive overload. These are things where we take generalized movements and we can gain certain qualities within the full organism, the body, okay? And then we can transfer those gained qualities like strength, which they're general in a sense, to something specific on the field. This is, and I shit you not, guys, day one shit. So that's what I commented. So Naudi hopped in the DMs and started talking with me. It's a bummer with the influence guys like you have that you completely disregard specificity like it's not a big deal. It matters more than anything, and it's determinant of sustainability. Weightlifters specifically deal with the problem, and they just gloss over it. Actually, not completely disregard. You treat it as a small accessory when it should be 95% of the focus. It's like you guys are open to ideas, but not willing to abandon your own if something better exists, or at least significantly evolve your approach. So I wanted to explain to Naudi that I'm not just some sort of weightlifting influencer. First off, I coached weightlifting, but before that, I was an intern at Northwestern University Olympic Sports Performance, and then I went on to be an assistant at Texas A&M. So my experience with training specifically athletes that aren't weightlifters and my understanding of periodization is pretty advanced. So I want to clear the air there. What you do, Naudi, is that you continuously say, where do you see the back squat on the field of play? When the answer is simply GPP. Going from GPP to SPP is seriously one of the simplest concepts any and all strength coaches learn. You then act as a gatekeeper of acceptable training. GPP, SPP, yes, general physical preparedness. Okay, so general strength argument. And then, I explained it to him, whatever. Yeah, see, that's the problem. 100%. You guys are categorizing it when it's unified. It all should orient around how we face demands in reality. Everything should respect SAID, which is the SAID principle, specific adaptations to imposed demands, which again does not go against general physical preparedness to specific physical preparedness. In fact, it works it works perfectly in that concept. And then I said, it's a spectrum, some more than others. Would you like to be on my YouTube channel for a debate? I can have someone mediate. Yeah, some more than others, depending on the concept. There are vector distributions. Then he said, this is the answer to my question. LOL, hell no. I'm not trying to be in media. I just like having discussions. Not trying to be in media? No, man. You're posting to social media every day. You guys have way too many people on your side. I can have some semblance of control on my platforms. All I do is get laughed off. I had my guys go on Bell's podcast, and all people did was talk shit. I don't blame you for this, but your guys' audience is filled with pricks. The thing is this. The debates are mostly irrelevant outside of just getting audiences to spend time and money on one method or another. What ends all debates are the advents of tech that solve for problems. That's what I'm most interested in. So then I say, how can we have a conversation? Rather, how would you like to have a conversation? And what I wanted to point out to him was like, hey, I made a comment, and he said, my audience isn't going to bash you. We don't engage in ad hominem. And he blatantly engaged in an ad hominem. I came back with a legitimate response, and then he said the loudest and most obnoxious voices. He was talking about me. And then he says, where did I call you anything? I said, loudest and most obnoxious. Point out the personal, unrelated insult. I literally didn't say anything. Okay, this is a stupid conversation. He did, and then I said, I would love to have a conversation with you and record it. Yeah, I know. A lot of people would. I'm not into that. I think debates are lame. They're not specific. I don't mean this cocky either. I'm just saying a lot of people in the space want to run me up a flagpole. Do you have studies on your athletes? And the industry wants to have a reason to silence me. Studies? You bring up science, wondering if I could have access to the science on your athletes. Einstein got validity through his theory of relativity by having a picture taken of the solar eclipse when the light bent around the sun. He became a renowned celebrity. Okay? I'm not being a dick here. I literally thought you had studies because he keeps bringing up science. I was actually being serious. Then he shows me a video of like Kyle Dake doing some wrestling stuff. He goes, those are my studies. And then I said, like abstract, introduction, methods, results, and discussion. I think studies are a waste of time most of the time. Like I have reinvented myself probably at least 40 times in the last 10 years. Wait, what do you mean? For me to take my material and test it and not tweak it when I know it's already messed up is scientifically irresponsible. Like if I test my intervention and that intervention is being tweaked, and then I conduct a study on that intervention, now I stifle innovation. That's just dumb. Scientific studies are there to get people on board with my thinking. It's marketing. It has its own dick measuring associated. So I don't know where he's going with this. I just said, got it. I'm into conducting my own independent research. Why should I have to answer to anyone else if I'm already the best? I'm actually just curious to know more about you at this point, if you don't mind. He sends me some other thing. He goes, look at that result. That guy had a grand total of 6 days of training in person in FP. This lady went to physical therapists all over. She was left for dead because the medical system fails in terms of dealing with chronic conditions. We do this with regularity, brother. Like everyday people are generating results like this on chronic conditions. Kyle Dake was told to move more when he wrestled, but if he was too flexible to do that, it would never happen. I'm a different monster. Okay. I'm not even criticizing your practices. I just disagree with your critiques on other practices. And this is really important, guys. It's really important for you to understand. Why are you so obsessed with functional patterns? Why are you so? It's like, I'm simply defending critiques on tried and true general physical preparedness, which I think is the easiest job ever. Okay. And that's all I'm doing. I'm not actually even going after functional patterns. I don't give a what this guy does in the gym. I don't care. It's his critique of others that I genuinely care about. So I try to rein it in. This is going to be a continuous thing. Okay, let's have a back and forth here. I also don't want to engage with media with fitness channels. You guys drive me nuts. Got it. Like, I get thousands of hate-filled responses from your community. I show the method like how I cue these resolutions. No controversy. Dude. And your community just comes in and shit all over me. Just saying. I go, please, let's just have a back and forth here. Only informing you so you don't think I'm being a dick. Got it. Can I ask you a few questions? Yes. What methodologies of training outside of your own are good? Should I explain the parameters of what constitutes good? Because before I can tell you if anything is good, well, let's not get too deep in the weeds here. Is there anything that is acceptable training outside of your own? I'm just trying to get him to answer a question at this point. I have to tell you what my standards are. This is the thing. I'm good with most types of training. No, he's not. He's just not. That's a lie. But when you actually account for the form, that's where it all breaks down. Bodybuilding is good, but it has to build function. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. However, people who do bodybuilding build muscles arbitrarily. Some people who lift weights do it in a manner that creates mechanical propulsion, but that's DNA, not the method. My objective is to control the variables that improve mechanical output with the use of muscles, fascia, and bones, tendons included. Okay, great. In case you're wondering, yoga sucks. I was like, damn, dude. Why you got to throw shade at yoga like randomly? Can I ask a follow-up? Entirely, it's pretty much garbage. Whatever. Anyways, of course, bodybuilding has to build function. Is it right then to assume that hypertrophy gained from classic bodybuilding is okay if it can then be converted into functional muscle for an athlete's sport? Yes, theoretically, that's what people are trying to do. It doesn't improve sprinting mechanics, though. So in that domain, it's dysfunctional. Okay, awesome. These are great. He's finally answering my questions. And sprinting, for example, is the most fundamental performance function there is for human. I don't have problems with weightlifters hypothetically. I have problems with their application. So lower body hypertrophy is probably not good for an athlete. It sucks. Too much lower body hypertrophy is a problem. And then this is where I go, wait. Hang on. Too much. So there is a limit. Yes, of course, bro. Do you know the term auto-regulation? Like a certain amount of lower body hypertrophy is okay. Yes, it depends on the person. I'd rather have skinny legs than muscular ones, not like the bodybuilders. Okay, so a certain level of lower and upper body hypertrophy by way of bodybuilding is good/acceptable for an athlete's training. Like Barry Sanders has too big of legs. And then he just throws other shit at me. This is a basic example. This is not a finished result. Recently, packed down about another 8 pounds in my recent course. My method is still a work in progress. He needs to be thicker, though. Killer results. Like another 20 to 25 pounds, maybe more. I'm just interested in some of your claims. I'm curious. That's why I'm asking. The thing is, bro, it's hard to... So, before we move on with this conversation, do you guys see what I was trying to do? Right? He delivers absolutes, and then I say some bodybuilding, some hypertrophy for the upper and lower body by way of bodybuilding is okay if it is created, if function is allowed from that. And he said yes, and then I go, okay. So then I just keep kind of answering the question, and he just avoids it because he knows that he will contradict his absolute statements. And that's all I have to do with these guys. I did the same thing with Joel Seedman. Joel Seedman says, do not do anything below 90 degrees for the squat. Okay. I go, okay, so absolutely nothing. No joint angles whatsoever. He goes, well, you could sit in the bottom of a deep squat. I go, okay, what if I'm 300 pounds? Is that okay then? Can I do it for 20 reps? I don't know. Maybe that's okay. Oh, 30 reps, 100 reps? What if I added 5 pounds? Is that going to kill me? What's the limit? Because you deliver the absolute. And the problem is weight training and the applications of said weight training are not absolute. The very idea of training is that it is fluid. The movement of intensity, the undulation of intensity and load and progression over time is something that we try to control, but we cannot control it with absolute statements that these guys continuously deliver. Anyways, here he just goes. The thing is, bro, it's hard to disagree with my logic. Most people don't. They just want to come at me like a dick. Maybe as a way to deflect from having to understand me. My problem is that I probably replace too much of the shit people do. And in capitalism, it's hard to do that. And I just go, totally. In an industry like this, if I was Tesla, it's easier to topple their competitors because it's maybe 40 car companies to contend with. I myself have to contend with millions of people with their own vested interests. And since I can't scale effectively in terms of participants, I have to tap into higher demographics to maintain profit margins. As you can see, I don't hide anything because I'm the best. People need to catch on so that I can make this cheaper. I am going to set up a franchising model with new tech that will enable this. We'll see how it all gets adopted. This vanish mode thing is tripping. So he's trying to make it all his stuff vanish. My issue isn't science. I'm probably the only scientific guy in this industry. I was engaging in it before I really knew how science worked. But when I look at the G's who did it, I apparently followed the same protocols. Lots of testing and thought experiments. I just am like letting this guy, he's rattling them off at this point. I go, okay, let's just rein it back in here. Sure. So then I go back to the original statement. If lower body and upper body hypertrophy is up to a certain level, acceptable training, would some of these movements that you are fully and absolutely discrediting actually be acceptable if they met but did not exceed that level? Guys, I am cooking here with these questions, okay? And then he just doesn't answer them. Back squats trains bilateral strength between both legs. It's not oscillatory, which is how a posterior and anterior chains developed. Olympic lifting is the same thing. Deadlift, same thing. It's not to say I don't train bilateral motions, but it's just, it goes back to say what I said in the very beginning. 95% of what we should do builds on the mechanical force reactions that made us human beings. The idea is that if we are going to build muscle, it has to change more than just superficial muscle. We have to talk about reshaping fascia that runs down the periosteum. And weightlifters don't do any of this. They don't even intend to correct basic posture, never mind try to reshape bones in a better place. I just don't think people realize what's possible. I could probably be walking around 15 pounds heavier right now, lean too, but it won't be as symmetrical. Totally. So to follow up here, 15 pounds for a guy who's 5'4" is quite a bit. I was like, oh, this guy's 5'4". Okay. Is there a bilateral squat to a certain level that is okay? Say goblet squat, front squat, overhead squat, belt squat. Goblet, yes, I guess. Front, no. Overhead, no. Belt squat is retarded. Pardon my French. I just don't get why people would want to burn out your legs in the sagittal plane. Like you constrain them to do so much shit by burning them linearly. This is really hard to keep track of what is acceptable and not, and why. So this is me pointing out that the fundamental point of being a charlatan, like I said earlier, is the gatekeeping of what is acceptable. It gets really, really convoluted. And I'm just simply trying to make him understand that with my line of questioning. Okay? Front squats put you into uncontrollable thoracic flexion. You're morphing yourself into a steel bar. Overhead squats will create forces. This is okay. Weight belt is artificial brace. Okay. It will mess with the pelvic floor, hernias in the abdomen. It's all like fear-based. You guys can read this. It's just fear. Be scared of everything that I deem is scary. Of course, these things won't happen overnight. Right. But it can build hypertrophy. But after a few months, you're fucked. Yes, hypertrophy. This is so tiring, guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to finish this and then whatever. Anyways, hypertrophy and dehydrated periosteal fascia. LOL. Oh boy, you really want this red pill? You don't have to believe me. Don't. It's all good. It's a bit too late in the night for that. Look, I would really like to ask you for your permission to use these answers in a video. Is that okay? God damn it. No, man. Please. I'm really not trying to be a centerpiece to some more controversies. I promise I'll be here another month or two. I'll do another 2-month stint. Okay, I got it. And you guys can have your fun on social media. I'll be building my franchise model. This place is literally a fucking madhouse. You guys are crazy. And I need to create those gyms for you guys to have so you can feel the alternative. They'll be cheaper, but not cheap. I can tell your good faith. Maybe in the future. Okay. And then he just kept talking to me and I go, I got to go to bed. And look, he said, please don't use it. But this was October 19th of 2024. It's April of 2025. And he is continuously able to start shit against other training methodologies and have nothing come back to him. I'm not allowed to use anything that I've talked to him about extensively because he doesn't want to be talked to, but he was. And so here it is, folks. This is exactly the type of guy that we're dealing with. And it is, it's like any other charlatan in the book. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments section. I just my brain is fried. And I'll see you guys in the next video.